Hello folks, I'm Dean with Dean's Woodworking. Welcome to the shop. Y'all come on in and make yourself comfortable. Today, we're going to turn a box. Very similar to the Christmas tree box we just turned, but this one's going to have a snowman on top of it. Stay tuned and see what we do, okay? Okay, on the lathe, we have a 2-inch dowel that I picked up at Woodcraft on their bargain table. It's hard maple. And it was 2 inches up until the point in time that I put it on here and took just a little bit off to make it round. So we're going to take us some measurements here, give you guys a rough idea of how we're going to lay this out. We're going to give ourselves just about 3/4 of an inch down here below the bottom. I want the box portion to be about 2 inches tall, and then I want the snowman to be about 3 inches tall. Okay, so if the box portion is 2 inches tall, we need to come back here, roughly a 1/2 inch for our lid. And so this will be the bottom of the box, this will be the top of the box, this will be the snowman. We are going to have to move these measurements up just a little bit because we're going to make a parting cut in here. So we need to move everything up, I'm going to say about 1/4 of an inch. So every line will go up about 1/4 of an inch to give us the same measurements. Don't forget that you're going to take that part out in the center, and that's going to count for you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and mark our lines here, all right? So we'll start with this one. We're going to mark that one. Then we're going to mark where the top of the cut is going to be. That's going to be the top of our box, and that's going to be the top of our snowman. So what we can do is we can go ahead and plan on this being our part right here, okay? I'll go ahead and make a starting cut there. I'm going to make a starting cut right down here for our bottom of our box. Again, not going very deep, just giving us a permanent mark there. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll part off through here once we get this chucked up. Okay, so we've got the bottom parted off. At this point, we're going to go ahead and stop right there, take the bottom out. We're going to put our top in the chuck, and a couple of things we're going to do. We're going to first go ahead and make a cut straight across this end. Make sure that we're running true there. When you cut with that parting tool, you may have pulled some fibers out of that. The best we try, we're still going to pull some out from time to time. Once we've done that, now we need to come in and we need to hollow out just a little bit of this lid. Take light cuts. You're not in a big hurry here. Notice how I've got a point there. I'm just a little above center. I need to drop that tool rest down just a little bit. And then, when I come in, see how the tool cuts right to the middle? Again, watch this hand. Don't be putting pressure on this hand unless it's straight down. If you do, you'll start getting a bounce in there. For some of you folks that haven't been turning long, if you've got a choice of leaving a divot or a little bump there in the middle, leave the bump. It's a whole lot easier to sand that out than it is the divot. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to come in with the skew. We're going to use it as a scraper, and we're just going to run straight in. That's what's going to fit over the lip we're going to put on the bottom. Give you folks a little bit of a look at that. You'll see we've got a little lip right here, straight sides coming in, and then curve out that box. Again, for you newer turners, leave a little bit of a bump there. It's easier to sand that out. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and sand the inside of this lid, and then I'll be right back. Oh, by the way, While I'm doing this, if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and go down and hit the subscribe and give me a like. And if you want to get notified of future videos that are coming out, go ahead and ring that notification bell as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll be right back. Okay, folks, so we've got the inside of that lid sanded. Take a look there. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to go ahead and take that off the chuck and put the bottom on. Okay, folks, we've got an 1.5 inch Forstner bit in the Jacobs chuck. We're going to go ahead and drill about 1.25 inches down into the bottom and go ahead and get that hollowed out. Always a good idea to hold your hand on that Jacobs chuck. You'll notice that blue tape there. That's so I know how deep to go. The wood turning rule book says that any time the inside is larger than the outside that you have a problem. And we don't want to go through the bottom. We've got that drilled out. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to make a little bit of a lip here for the lid to go up on. So we'll come in and make us just a little bit of a cut there so we don't splinter that out. We'll come in and start doing a peeling cut. The best advice I can give you here is sneak up on it. Don't be in any kind of big hurry to get there, because there's plenty of room to take wood off before you get there, but once you get there, you're there. And just a little bit of wood off at that point means that your lid does not fit. Just come in there and narrow that cut just a little bit. That way, if you do get too small, you've still got room to play with. So again, each time it doesn't fit, I'll bring that down. It just helps you just a little bit seeing exactly. We're getting close, folks. That's our fit right there, folks. It is super snug. So now we need to bring this back so that we've got that size all the way down. What I'm attempting to do there is just make sure that edge is good and square. We've still got a little bit. Might be able to take just a tad off of it, but I mean, we can't take much. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. There's the fit we're looking for. Okay, folks, so we've got it back together. You'll notice we got a pretty good grain match there. We're going to go ahead and take a couple of cuts off the outside. With the skew, we'll remake our marks and we'll start shaping the outside of it. Again, folks, you want to float that bevel across that wood. We're not trying to put a lot of pressure on the skew. We're going to come back in here. We're going to measure up from where our lid is. We know that we want to come up about 5/8 of an inch because we hollowed back up in there a little bit. We know we hollowed down 1 1/4 inches from the top of that. So 1 1/4 inches, that means we're hollowed to about there. We're going to go ahead and leave that original mark as our bottom. So I'm going to come in and we're just going to round over there just a little bit. So we know that's our bottom. We're going to mark our our lid there. And we're just going to start going in there to make our lid. We're going to reduce this down some, so I'm going to do some peeling cuts. I'm going to do those right here. Okay, this is the bottom of the snowman and the top of the box. And that's what happens to everybody every once in a while. So if you think you or anybody else is immune to that, no, you're not. And it'll happen when you least expect it. So let's see what we need to cut away to make this work. We've got a little bit of room to take several cuts there. Let's see if that got it. So we're looking real good along the box. And I think we've still got enough lip there that we'll be okay. So let's take our spindle gouge . And let's see how we're doing there. Just a minor little cut right there. I think one more will get it out of the way. Let's take a look before we go any further. Beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll start a cut right in here. This is going to be the bottom of our snowman. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're now going to come in and do another little peeling cut right here. We're going to go ahead and make this a 3-tiered snowman. And so okay. So with this little guy, we're going to start his head right here. Alright, now this is going to be the size of the rim of his hat. So as we're coming in, we need to keep that in mind. How big do we want the rim of his hat? I'm going to say we're going to give him a pretty good size rim. How about that? Let's do something here. We're going to come in with a slicing cut, and what that slicing cut's going to do is just make sure we have a smooth edge that doesn't really need any sanding there on the hat. We're going to do the same thing over here, and that's going to do two things for us. Number one, it's going to give us a smooth edge, but it's also going to determine the thickness of our brim. You can go as thin as you want. I'm going to switch back to the 1/2 inch skew, and we're going to come in and we want the size of the hat here to be just slightly larger than the top of his head where it goes on. And be very careful not to cut too far in, or you will cut the brim right off the hat. I would have you ask me how I know, but I think some of you probably already know how I know the answer to that. Okay, let's call that hat right about there. Now let's take a look at this. We want to make sure we've got everything exactly the way we want it before we start sanding on it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make a couple of cuts down here so that we can sand that. We're going to make just a little bit of a parting cut in here. Again, not going very far in. We just want to make sure that we can sand that edge where it goes around there. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick sand and I'll be right back, okay? Okay, folks, we got the sanding done. Let's take a look at it real quick, okay? It's ready to be parted off. I'm going to go ahead and part the top end off here. All right, so we got it parted off. We're going to take one little cut right here and go ahead and smooth that off right there. Once you have that off, if you want to hit it with some 220 or 320, just real quick, because that's a skew slicing cut, so it doesn't need much. Now let's see how easy this is to come off of here. Not bad, not bad at all. We need to clean up the inside of this bottom real quick. We'll use our box scraper for that. We're going to just double check our depth here. Well, we can go quite a bit deeper there. One of the reasons we can go quite a bit deeper is because when you're drilling with a Forstner bit, you've got that point that sticks out there. You've got to make sure you measure from the tip of that point back. So your hole won't be exactly as deep as what your measurement is, but if you go to where the cutting edge of that and it actually drills the hole, it's going to poke a hole in the middle if you leave a very thin bottom. So that's why we've got a little bit more to take out of the bottom. One of the things too, you can move this up just a little bit closer. The more metal you've got sticking out over that tool rest, the more vibration you're going to get. We can go quite a bit deeper, so I'm going to go ahead and take the ball mill hollowing tool that we made, and I think it'll take that out a whole lot quicker and with a whole lot less vibration. And remember, when you're using this tool, as you turn it, it gets more or less aggressive. I believe that is exactly where we want it. Let's just check our wall thickness here. Not bad. In fact, I'd say that was just about perfect where we wanted it. So what we're going to do at this point is sand this out. Folks, I'm going to get it sanded and I'll be right back. So I'm through sanding the inside. The top right in here was just a little snug going on. It's still just a wee bit snug. Not overly, you can still pull it off. I think by the time we put a little oil on it, it'll be just fine. One of the things I did to go ahead and get it to where it was fitting a little bit better, took some of this old cheap sandpaper, been laying around here forever, it's kind of stiff, turned the lathe on, and just slightly touched it just like so. With doing that, you can adjust it. So even that just little bit that I did right there made a tremendous difference, and that's about right. So I'm going to go ahead and part this thing off, and as you know, notice it's not finished. So I'm going to challenge my wife and see if we can get her to paint this thing for us. And if I can talk her into it, I'll get her to take some photographs along the way as she's doing that, and I'll put them at the end of the video. If I'm not a good enough sales guy to talk her into finishing this and painting it for us, then you'll see it with a puff paint eyeballs and nose and button, and that's about all I'll do. When it comes to painting, I kind of steer away from that as much as possible, but these look good both ways. And that's the one thing that I would challenge each of you to do. When you see these things, do one and make it your own. You don't necessarily have to finish it exactly like I do. Paint it a different color, paint it a different way. I just did the tree and used airbrush. Somebody put in comments, can you paint it with a brush? Well, of course you can. Be creative, folks. For every turner out there, There's a different way to make this stuff happen. Make it your own. Just a few minutes, you'll see the final results and you'll know who won on that deal. Stay safe, stay healthy, and happy turning.